Congressional Republicans to pass tax reform quickly. On Sunday, Mr. Trump and Vice President Mike Pence joined a conference call with House Republicans, urging them to adopt the budget the Senate passed last week in order to speed up the tax reform process. The president is meeting with Republican senators on Tuesday. CBS News contributor and congressional reporter for the Washington Post, Ed O'Keefe, is on Capitol Hill. Ed, what do you expect from this meeting on Tuesday?
We'd like to know that, Tony. We don't quite yet understand what exactly is on the menu and what exactly will be discussed, but presumably it's primarily taxes. You saw the president on Sunday urge House Republicans to take up the Senate budget resolution that they passed last week in hopes of getting this process moving quickly. One would think that he'll come to lunch here for the first time as sitting president. He came once last year when he was president-elect to urge them to get to work on tax reform and to give him some kind of a win. There's real urgency in the administration to demonstrate that they're able to get something done. Taxes right now is the one they're hoping it'll be.
Now, in terms of detailing that something, there have been reports that Republicans are considering a major alteration to retirement accounts in their tax reform legislation. On Monday morning, the president tweeted, "There will be no change to your 401k. This has always been a great and popular middle-class tax break that works, and it stays." Now, that seems like pretty bold and straightforward language from the president. Have lawmakers weighed in on whether they agree?
Well, we know that this idea of dipping into the 401ks or taxing it was floated last week in reports in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times. I think that was pretty much all it was, a trial balloon to see how well it would be received. I think the president's tweet signals they understand it was not received well. The other thing that happened Monday, interesting, was that Ivanka Trump, the president's daughter, was in the Philadelphia area telling a crowd there and telling reporters that that they are definitely going to have some kind of a tax credit for having children. There was some concern about what exactly would come of the child tax credit. She was making clear it would be there, and also insisted, and on what grounds it's unclear, that everyone in the United States will be getting a tax break. There's been some discussion about that, whether high-income earners would in fact maybe see their taxes go up, or whether there really would be relief for middle-income Americans. She said today, looks like every American would get a tax break.
Well, cake for everyone. I like it. Now, moving to that other major issue, the health care overhaul, or potential overhaul, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell implied he's open to bringing a bipartisan health care bill to the Senate floor. Let's take a listen to what he said on Sunday.
Will you bring the Alexander Murray legislation to the floor of the Senate for a vote?
Well, what I'm waiting is to hear from President Trump what kind of health care bill he might sign. If there's a need for some kind of interim step here to stabilize the market, we need a bill the president will actually sign. And I'm not certain yet what the president's looking for here, but I'll be happy to bring a bill to the floor if I know President Trump would sign it.
Now, I admit to be reeling a little bit here. Are Republicans more focused on health care or tax reform at this point?
I think they'd definitely like to see a big win on tax reform because it's a signature campaign pledge. Remember, on health care, the campaign pledge was we'll undo Obamacare. Well, they're not going to be able to do that. And this bipartisan plan that the president hasn't weighed in on yet is merely a bipartisan fix to the current system. It would not fulfill the pledge. So you saw McConnell there take a non-committal stance. I would suspect if you're Lamar Alexander, who would attend Tuesday's lunch, you might raise your hand and ask, hey, what do you think of my plan, and can we vote on it? If the president says yes, you would think it would happen very quickly, maybe even ahead of tax reform. But if not, this could fester longer at a time when millions of Americans are preparing to enroll in next year's health insurance coverage. So we'll see. I think there's the nonplussed response of the president and Republican leaders at the top signals that they understand at this point health care is probably a lost cause. Better to focus on tax reform where they still think they've got a shot.
So shifting over to Democrats, you went to the Democratic National Committee's annual meeting and reported that national Democrats are worried about the race for governor in Virginia. You know, Obama spoke there. Why are they so concerned about Virginia right now?
Well, remember, in the odd year after a president gets elected, only two states hold governor's races, New Jersey and Virginia. The race in New Jersey looks to be all but locked up for the Democrat, if only because Chris Christie, the Republican incumbent, is so unpopular. So all the attention shifts down here to Virginia, where you've got the Lieutenant Governor, Ralph Northam, running against a guy named Ed Gillespie, a Republican lobbyist and consultant for hire who worked for George W. Bush back in the day. The state has been trending blue in the last several statewide or national elections. Democrats understand if they lose this race, or if it comes in too close for comfort, even if they win it, but only by a few points, it's a signal that perhaps they're still struggling to reach the voters they need to reach ahead of next year. There's no real message that they're road testing in Virginia that's going to translate into the congressional and gubernatorial races across the country, but they want that momentum to demonstrate to nervous donors, to skittish congressional candidates, and others maybe still thinking about running for governor, that you can do it as a Democrat in the age of Trump and win.
Yeah, and the partisan breakdown with governors nationwide has been trending toward Republicans lately, so they want to hold on or keep Virginia. Ed O'Keefe, congressional reporter for the Washington Post. Ed, thank you very much.
Good to see you, Tony. Take care.